Hello and welcome everyone. The second week of November, 12th to 11th. Hope everyone's well. So starting with our warm-ups. So breathing out on the way down and breathing in on the way up. Breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth. And with the tongue on the roof of their mouth, just behind the top teeth. As much as is possible. I guess what I was going to say is that some people might find that uncomfortable or unusual, but basically all I would say is that you get used to it. It gets easier. So with the everyone's very well familiar with this, so I won't be too worried if I go off track. So everyone that's doing the course at the moment knows these warm-ups very well, so I'm sure you're well aware of the breathing. If not, yeah. Okay, so with these exercises, as I've mentioned before, there's no particular breathing for these ones. Just remember to breathe going in your own time as much as you can. So shoulder rolls backwards and forwards and then opposites if you can. And then so breathing into the center, breathing out as we twist. So breathing in, breathing out. Hope everyone's well. My family and I have recently had some stomach bugs, which hasn't been so great. So still kind of recovering from that. But should be okay now, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Unfortunately, as is the case with viruses and things like that, picked them up from someone else, so and it sort of spread through us. Anyway. So it's a little bit shorter, just a tiny bit shorter today, not 100%. Also take this as evidence that you can do the Qigong and Tai Chi even if you're not necessarily feeling great, and you can guarantee, I'm very, very certain, having done it in all sorts of different health circumstances, that you do feel better afterwards. So always something to do if you can. So just stretching our forearms out, both sides. And stretching our wrists out. So just rotating them in one direction then the other. Stretching your shoulders and chest. So just lifting our arms up the back. And just loosening everything up. Going for a bit of a tricep stretch as well if you feel like it. So if I haven't had any questions from anyone in a while, so I'm assuming that everyone's doing okay. As I mentioned last week, part of my role, of course, is to help you. So please feel welcome to send me questions and ask me if things don't make sense, or even also if you've got questions about the Tai Chi or Qigong or all that in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to the exercise. Okay, so waist rotations. Breathing out on the way forward, breathing in on the way back. So breathing out, breathing in. So 3 in each direction. Making sure to support our hips and our back with our hands at the back there. And as much as you can, rotating the hips around. It's very, very good for your spine, your intestines, your organs, all your joints and everything. Okay, then just stepping slightly wider, as wide as this is comfortable, and shifting from foot to foot. Going back up. Rotating at the knees. Excuse me. And then back the other way, and then finally our ankle turns. So as I believe I've also mentioned throughout for a long time, if you've got extra stretches you want to add in, of course, got to do so. This is quite comprehensive, so it's, head to toe, all the major joints and muscles and so on and so forth, and it also opens our energy centers. Ready for the Qigong. Allows us to move easier, and it also makes these exercises more effective. So starting with our liver exercise. As always, as I've mentioned last week, liver's the first organ to kick off during the day. So it's a bit like our pilot light that gets everything started. So kicks off at 1 o'clock in the morning and helps get everything moving until 3 o'clock. And the energy goes into our lungs, 3 to 5. If you're up early enough, this is a good time to do the Qigong and exercise. And so forth. So 5 to 7 is our intestines. And that's not surprisingly when many of us go to the toilet in the mornings. Okay, our other liver exercise, so breathing on the way up, breathing out on the way down. So just talking through the body clock. We've then got 7 to 9 in the morning, that's when we have breakfast, and that's actually when our stomach is most active. And then 9 to 11 is our spleen, so that's processing and distributing all of the energy from our food, and also if we've done Qigong, throughout our body. So spleen's the feminine organ paired with the stomach, all about nutrition and energy. It's a grounding sort of element, very earthy. Okay. So this is our kidney exercise, the one that we have one of the basic 5 as. So breathing out on the way down, no air at that point, breathe in on the way up, and breathe out on the way down, and then breathing into our center, and breathing out. So after our spleen, that's 9 till 11 in the morning, from 11 o'clock until 1 p.m. is our heart. And I've done some interesting studies where they've found that most heart attacks happen in the middle of the day, which is exactly when the Chinese say that your heart energy is strongest. And this is also when it is the least best time to be doing exercise. Don't go out in the midday sun. I always get worried when I see people exercising out in the middle of the day, because it places way too much strain on your body and on your heart. There are plenty of other times that it is possible to exercise that won't stress your body out. You don't need to stress your body out to exercise and keep it in shape and fit and trim and taut and terrific and all that sort of stuff. So our other kidney exercise, breathing in, breathing out and squeezing back of the neck, breathing in on the way up, breathing out on the way down, and then breathing in and breathing out. So breathing out as we come down, breathing in on the way up, breathing out, and then breathing out and breathing in. So the idea with the Chinese body clock is that they, in addition to things like the meridians and acupuncture, they actually had they tracked how the organs worked, and essentially they realized that each organ had a 2-hour period throughout the day where it was most active and, if you like, strongest. So they kind of formulated their sort of day plans around this. Kind of makes sense. I mean, most of us are doing this intuitively. So this is our long exercise, breathing in the way up, breathing out the way down. So, things like having breakfast between 7 and 9 in the morning. So we call that a window. Well, I think of that as a window of time. So that's kind of like, if you like, the ideal time to be having breakfast. And there's plenty of things that back this up from Western science. If you eat too late, your digestion's a bit messed around. you want to have breakfast because your body's just basically been fasting while you've been sleeping. Other things like that. If you've got depression or alcoholism or other things that affect your liver or a hangover, you're most likely to wake up between 1 and 3 in the morning. That's when your liver's processing everything and dealing with everything and so forth. And if you've got grief issues, you tend to wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning, which is when your lungs are most active. So things like that. So if you go and see a Chinese practitioner, they'll identify things like this. And if you find that you have particular periods of the day where you seem to feel weak, for want of better words, then chances are it might be that the organ in that particular time is under stress. Something to bear in mind. So this is our lung exercise. Well, it's an all-over exercise as well. So breathing in. Hopefully he's going to do it again. No, he's not. Oh well. Back to our good old S breath. So breathing on the way up. Yep, it's a lung exercise. Exhale with a S sound. Always best to do this one outside. As I've mentioned, exhale with that S sound. Very good for clearing the lungs. Excuse me. This is our heart exercise. So breathing in on the way up, breathing out as we bring our hands down to almost touch in front of our heart. Breathe in towards our shoulders, breathe out on the way down, and then breathing in and out. Seem to have a bit of a helicopter parade outside. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully that shouldn't be affecting the voiceover. I've closed the doors and stuff up. Anyway, my apologies if it is. You should still be able to hear me. Think of it as interesting background noise. So, heart exercise, breathing in the way up, breathing out the way down, breathing into our shoulders, breathing out the way down, and so on. The other idea that I've touched on is that the organs are paired. So this is our spleen exercise, which we've done since day dot. I'm sure you're aware of it. So just to talk about the organs, basically the idea is that each organ is paired with another one. And if one's affected, it affects the others. So for example, if you have issues with your lungs, chances are your large intestine is going to be affected. Or likewise, if you're constipated and your bowels are, not doing so well, you need some probiotics and stuff like that, it's often the cause of bad breath. So not so much your mouth, not so much not brushing your teeth these days. Most people do that. It's actually because you need to get stuff out of your intestines. Other things like that. And so if you go and see, likewise with the body clock, if you go and see a Chinese medical practitioner, or if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you might realise that, for example, if you've got issues with your heart, then that might affect your small intestine, because those two are linked. So it's very interesting. I'll find a link for the book that I absolutely love that talks about this stuff, and I'll send that out when I can find it. So for our Tai Chi, big thing to remember with this is keep it nice and flowing as much as you can. And not at this point, but a bit later, I'll talk a bit about the balance aspect. So Tai Chi literally translates on one level as balance. So balance between opposing elements, balance within yourself. So for our hands, they need to be at shoulder height. So our left hand, fingertips, reach our shoulders. And my right hand, the bottom of the hand is at the shoulders. So one's just at the level of it, one's just above it. Okay, collapsing our right hand, tracing her with our left, stepping out to our right. Excuse you. Circling around and back, looking into our rice bowl, remembering to point our toe up. So So 45-degree angle there, 90-degree angle there straight, in front, and literally almost in front of your left toe. So it's basically in line, just to give you an idea of how that looks and where your feet need to be. So left foot 45, right foot at 90. So one of the things with the Tai Chi, as I'm demonstrating here, is if you step out way too far, it's a big strain. You're probably going to feel it in your back and you're probably going to overbalance. So if you're finding that you're overbalancing, or likewise if you don't step very much at all, it's likely telling you either about yourself in general, perhaps you're someone that overextends themselves, or perhaps you're someone that controls themselves and keeps them too close and keeps their energy in and needs to actually just get out there more. Or perhaps that's also an indication of how you are that day. So just to start to incorporate this ideal a little bit more into our practice, it's starting to that self-observation kind of thing that, well, psychology, spiritual practices, anything to do with awareness or healthful stuff, all talk about these kind of things. So it's very much being aware of that in anything that you do in your life. Tai Chi and Qigong in particular are very good at revealing this. Martial arts is another one. We'll show you where you're at and where your energy's at and how you're feeling. So perhaps if you're someone that you find that you're stepping out and you're losing your balance, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're stepping too far. But start to have a look at why things work or why things don't work. And that can also be things that you find difficult. So it might be gathering energy, it might be using opposites, so using your right here like in your left hand, right hand, left foot, things like that. Remembering things, doing complex things at the same time, so forth. It all reveals something about ourselves. So, left hand down the bottom, twisting over. So our right hand's on top. We're going to ground our left hand so that we can reach out with our right. You'll notice anytime we ground our left hand, there's a couple of points in this sequence. It's always because we're reaching out, so it's balancing us. Putting the toe of our foot on the ground, hand up like we're waving at someone, and our right fist under our left hand. We're going to step out to our right, so 90-degree angle. I'm going to go down, out and up, down, out and up, and draw back. So I think of that as an infinity sign, and then pushing down and starting again. So hands up to the sky, looking up between them. Our gaze stays at horizon level, keeps us balanced. Circling around at navel height, stepping forward with our right foot, right hand in front. Palms towards us, circling down and around again. Drawing that left hand back, right foot back. Excuse me. And pointing our hands in our toe, right toe. Collapse our right hand, trace over with our left, step out to our right. So hands are at shoulder height, so my palms are literally at the same height as my shoulders. Right hand is in front, and the left hand is just behind it with the fingertips pointing towards the right hand. Circling back, down and around and back, again, back to our rice bowl. Up to our shoulders, push out with the backs of our hands. Circling down and around, and then pushing out with our palms, same thing. So it's not just at those points, but those are probably the big ones where you notice if you're overbalancing and if you're stretching too far, or perhaps not stretching very far either. Neither of those is better than the other. It's not better to overextend and it's not better to underextend. Both of them are out of balance. So grounding our left hand so that we can stretch our right wing and then stretch our left. I'll realise that I'm out of shot, so I'll move. There we go. So stretching right and then stretching our left. And step out with our left foot and trace our rainbow. Nice big circle. Right hand ends up in front. arms crossed in front of our chest. So I think of it as like it's like my right hand scoops down and then on top. Left hand comes underneath, resting our tiger's head, stepping back, pointing a toe, so that we can move, so that we can gather, like so. Okay. And again, that 90-degree angle, and doing our infinity sign. So as I've mentioned before, that's the entire Tai Chi sequence, apart from doing it, all 4 directions. And I'm just going to, so I'm talking about showing overbalancing there again. But the big thing to remember is, start to be aware of how you are when you're doing the practice. And what I was just going to mention there is, if you've got any questions, please let me know. That's why I'm here. So breathing in, breathing out. Breathe in as we bring our arms up. Breathe out as we turn our palms up. Breathe in and hold. And breathe out, reverse what we just did. Breathe in, turn our palms down, breathe out, and then breathe in and breathe out.